7. Alan Miller McCarty. In 2018, a defendant in a Daytona Beach courtroom interrupted and insulted the presiding judge, and it wasn't the first time either. Alan Miller McCarty watched the majority of his trial from behind one-way glass in a separate room after acting disrespectfully to the jury and judge. But regardless of his objections, he was found guilty of all the charges related to his threats aimed at another judge who presided in an earlier custody case involving Alan. It took a jury of 3 men and 3 women around 30 minutes to find Alan guilty of 2 counts of extortion or threats and 2 counts of corruption by threat against a public official. Alan didn't just threaten the judge though, he also targeted a pair of dispatchers who were on the phone calls. Eventually though, he was allowed back into the courtroom, and as the man's guilty verdicts were read, he stayed unusually quiet as he was surrounded by deputies. Alan was sentenced by Circuit Judge Matt Foxman to serve 20 years in prison, and he was given an additional 10 days for his inappropriate expletive-laced outbursts. Before he was moved behind one-way glass, everyone in the courtroom, including Judge Foxman, the jurors, and the attorneys, could all hear Alan's screams and offensive cursing. He was yelling about how he wasn't given the opportunity to present evidence, and he was upset that his papers were taken away from him. Alan also raised his voice at his attorney, who he believed wasn't asking enough questions. The man was originally in court in regard to his child custody case, and when Circuit Judge Stasia Warren ruled against him, he threatened to kill her. He also reportedly threatened the unborn child belonging to the prosecutor. The 36-year-old's behavior was so outrageous in court that his mother felt the need to apologize for her son's actions, according to the man's public defender, Ryan Bellinger. And State Attorney R.J. Laritza stated that the man's 20-year sentence will give him ample time to think about his violent threats against Judge Warren, as well as the entire judicial system. 6. Joseph Katarinu. During a criminal fraud case in Houston, a defendant punched and attacked a bailiff, judge, and prosecutor after being denied bond at a court hearing in late 2021. 58-year-old Joseph Katarinu was making a routine appearance in front of State District Judge Danny Lacayo when he was asked if he needed an attorney, according to what witnesses told the Houston Chronicle. When Joseph addressed the judge disrespectfully, Lacayo denied him bond, and he directed a bailiff to put him into custody. However, when the bailiff attempted to take him into custody, Joseph grabbed the bailiff's hair before taking her to the ground. Prosecutor Jacob Salinas reported that after he had the bailiff on the floor, he began punching her. Salinas said, "He was just wailing on her, so I tried to jump in." At this point, Judge Lacayo descended from the bench to help the prosecutor, and both men traded punches with Joseph. Salinas, a former college football lineman, and Lacayo were able to subdue the man after a brief struggle, and the bailiff managed to retrieve her stun gun that Joseph had knocked out of her hand. In self-defense, she shot Joseph with the stun gun, but it gave all 3 men a jolt of electricity. As a result, he was handed 3 felony charges for assault on a public servant. Back in 2018, the defendant was charged with submitting false financial statements that had worked for American Airlines as well as Envoy Air, and claimed that the 2 companies owed him money. Court records showed that Joseph's attorney asked the judge on December 13th to withdraw from the case because, in reality, his client did work for Envoy Air but had been fired in 2017 for his erratic behavior. Joseph also apparently declared himself a sovereign citizen who wasn't required to pay federal income tax. The so-called sovereign citizen movement has a rather extremist following that truly believes itself to be exempt from most state and federal laws. The movement has also been linked to violence. The case appears to be ongoing, as the last update was from December 2021 when Joseph attacked the bailiff in court. 5. Brian Earl Taylor. There are many things that would be considered disrespectful in a court of law, and breaking out into song as you're being sentenced to prison is definitely one of them. But this was the exact decision the defendant Brian Earl Taylor made in a Michigan courtroom in early 2016. The felon went viral for his rendition of Adele's song Sorry, as a video of him dedicating the performance to his victim began to circulate online. The man was 21 years old when he was put on trial for allegedly pressing a gun into an unarmed man's stomach while trying to steal his medical marijuana in 2015. He was charged and convicted of illegally carrying a concealed weapon, as well as unlawful imprisonment. The judge sentenced him to serve 3.5 years in prison, and as he did this, Brian sang the remorseful tune to everyone in the courtroom, which included the judge, the victim, and the victim's family. But that was years ago, and Brian, who's originally from Ypsilanti, Michigan, has since finished serving his time. After being released, he set out to prove to the world that he was a reformed man with a new song to sing. He's now staying out of trouble and posts videos of himself singing online, his first video being him belting out his own version of another Adele song called Hello. Brian planned to release an album in March 2020, but it appears as though he's only dropped one original song since getting out of prison. 4. Demetrius Lewis. It's not every day that you hear about a defendant that's so immature that he chooses to hit on the judge appointed to his case. But Demetrius Lewis from Fort Lauderdale is a unique individual. And in early 2021, he confessed his undying love for Judge Tabitha Blackman while attending his bail hearing remotely due to COVID-19 restrictions. The Florida man turned on the charm with the attractive judge only to fall flat on his face. Lewis appeared before Judge Blackman, and apparently he was determined to shoot his shot with her. He attempted to butter her up by opening with, "Judge, you so gorgeous. I just had to tell you, I love you, I love you." He poured on the charm pretty thick, and he actually managed to get a smile out of the judge, who seemed oddly receptive to his advances. But just seconds later, she made it entirely clear to the defendant that his behavior would not be tolerated in a court of law. He was subsequently charged with ecstasy possession and attempted burglary, as Judge Blackman let him know that she had found probable cause for the charges. A prosecutor then asks for the man's bail to be set at $7,500, and he makes note that 3 children were present at the home Lewis allegedly attempted to break into. The defendant had just been released from prison in 2019 after serving 4 years for aggravated battery with a deadly weapon in Orange County. And less than 3 years later, he was before a judge once again for crimes he committed. At the end of the bail hearing, the judge ordered Lewis to be held on a $5,000 bail, which was $2,500 less than the DA's request. 3. Donna Koso. In this case specifically, it's not about the defendant, it's about her mother, Donna Koso. In Detroit, Michigan, the woman was sentenced to 93 days in jail after she was caught laughing in court during a family's victim statement during her daughter's DUI sentencing in March 2017. While her 25-year-old daughter Amanda was waiting for her sentencing for killing a man named Jerome Zerka, a father of 5, Donna Koso was jailed for contempt of court following her shocking outburst. The woman was initially thrown out of the courtroom along with her unnamed boyfriend when the sister of her daughter's victim took the stand and began to read a statement on behalf of Zerka's children. A video from inside the courtroom showed Judge Kiana Lillard losing her patience with the woman's boyfriend and then with Donna herself after catching the two of them smirking. Then, without hesitation, the judge sentenced Donna to serve 93 days in jail for contempt of court. Lillard also slammed the couple for being extremely disrespectful to the victim and his family, even going as far as to call the woman's boyfriend a clown. After ordering the pair out of the courtroom, Lillard addressed the rest of the court and said, "Anybody else want to go?" as she was clearly sick of dealing with the discourtesy. Amanda Koso ended up pleading guilty to killing Zerka and severely injuring the man's fiancée Brittany Johnson. She was handed 3 to 15 years behind bars as a result. As for Donna Koso, she returned in front of the judge to tearfully apologize for her behavior. She told Lillard, "I deeply apologize for what I did. I was under a lot of stress." The remorse for her actions swayed the judge, and instead of serving 93 days in jail, her sentence was reduced to just 1 day, which she'd already served. 2. Leonard Grazer. In late 2019, a Russian man who was on trial for murdering his sister was filmed trying to escape the courtroom through the ceiling. The defendant, 18-year-old Leonard Grazer, was put inside a glass-walled box while the trial played out, and he saw an opportunity to make his getaway through a grill that was on top of the box. According to Life, a Russian news channel, at least 3 officers were present in the courtroom watching Leonard. and all of them sprang into action when they noticed the criminal attempting to squeeze through the grille and push the panels of the ceiling into the crawl space above it. Two of the officers climbed up the box to grab Leonard, while the other one hits the defendant on the side with the baton. At this moment, the ceiling panels start to crash down as the officers manage to grab Leonard by the legs, and his body flails around inside the crawl space. One of the policemen continues to hold onto Leonard's legs, while the others jump from the box to get more help. The criminal almost gets away when he somehow shimmies out of his pants and frees one of his legs. However, the officer holding onto him kept a tight grip on the other leg, and he holds him until help arrives. After a while, the defendant agreed to climb back into the glass-walled box to continue his trial, but he was handcuffed to prevent any further outbursts, according to reports from the Moscow Times. He was accused of murdering his 21-year-old sister, Ariada Korol, which he claimed was a sacrificial killing in order to rid himself of Satan. Leonard shared an apartment with his sister and even said he had a perfect relationship with his sibling. But when questioned by authorities about the murder, he said, "I did what I had to do." Ariada's body was found with several stab wounds at their apartment, and Leonard was discovered at the scene as well, praying in the nude with demonic symbols written in his sister's blood on his head. In September 2020, Leonard was sentenced to compulsory psychiatric medical treatment by Moscow's Sherbinsky's district court. But in accordance with Russian law, the verdict and any other details regarding the case haven't been disclosed. 1. Penelope Soto. A woman from South Florida cussed out a judge before waving her middle finger at him during a virtual hearing in 2013. 18-year-old Penelope Soto landed herself 30 days in jail for contempt of court, and the whole story gained national attention as a video of the incident went viral online. Penelope flipped off Miami-Dade Circuit Judge Jorge Rodriguez Chomat when she appeared before him for a Xanax possession charge. At this hearing, Penelope stroked her hair and laughed as Rodriguez Chomat asked the young woman about the cost of her jewelry and her other assets in order to set her bond amount appropriately. Her action seemed to irritate the judge, who told her, "It's not a joke, be serious about it." Penelope responded by telling the judge that he'd made her laugh and said she would be serious from then on out. But then she responded to his question about how much her jewelry was worth by saying it's a lot of money, refusing to give Rodriguez Chomat a real dollar amount. This seemed to upset the judge even more, and he in turn set Penelope's bond at $5,000 before saying bye-bye to her. Soto laughed at this and replied by saying adios as she walked out of the camera's view. Feeling like he was being disrespected and mocked, Judge Rodriguez Chomat summoned Penelope back and shocked the woman by raising her bond to $10,000 instead of $5,000. This enraged the 18-year-old, and when she understood that the judge was being serious, she started to walk away. But before she did so, she cursed out the judge by saying "F you" and flashed him her middle finger. As a result, she was called back once again and was given a 30-day contempt sentence for her unruly behavior. However, the following Friday, Penelope appeared in front of Judge Rodriguez Chomat to apologize for her actions. She told him that she doesn't normally act disrespectfully as she did before, and that she was truly sorry for what she'd done. She also confessed to having 2 Xanax pills before she was arrested, which could have contributed to the way she acted. This apology seemed to have an effect on the judge, who then did away with the young woman's $10,000 bond and enabled her to be released directly from the courtroom. This just goes to show that sometimes saying sorry can go a long way. If you were a judge and a defendant sang you a love song, would you be flattered and go a little easy on them? Or would you find it disruptive and disrespectful and give them a worsened sentence for their behavior? Let us know in the comments below. If you enjoyed today's video, be sure to subscribe. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye.